6 minutes left. Still, both sides could win this.
Absolutely perfect. Das Bauwolf kommt rein, 2 MGs, Peekaboo, Cribaboo. Es ist ein Gemetzel.
Look at the carnage! My goodness!
Hello, welcome and thank you for joining me here for this week 4 coverage of the Hell Let Loose Competitive Association, HCA. I'm very excited to bring you this match today. It's Core versus 82AD. Should be a pretty decent matchup this evening. Obviously Core, I don't want to say they're the best in the world, but they might be the best in the world, versus 82AD, who have kind of had some ups and downs, but a very, very long-lasting community. They've been around for a really long time. They've had some people come and go, but they're really onto like a good push so far in this HCA window. As you saw just there on Das Altberg's trailer, and massive thank you to Das Altberg for these wicked trailers that keep coming in all the time, week after week. Puts in so much effort. It's great. Can't fault him on that one. But this section of the HCA, which goes up until the 25th of September, Core, very, very strong. We'll have a look at the tables in a minute, or the leaderboard coming into this weekend in a minute. But Core right up there on the top of the pile, along with Trigger. 82AD kind of, middle of the table. They've got off to an okay start. They've kind of had a win, had a couple losses, so they're looking to... Well, it's hard to say what they're looking to for this game, because Core are just, so notoriously strong. It will largely depend, I suppose, on what team Core field. They might field their best team. They might not. We'll wait and see. In terms of the kind of the map here on Utah Beach, as you can see behind me, we've got Hill 5 here in the distance, looking up towards the chapel. This is a classic map of Hell Let Loose Competitive, and a map that both these teams are really pretty familiar on. Core, they're very familiar on it. They've had, according to the Helo system, in the last, 2 years that is, they've had 15 games on here, competitive games. They've won 13 of those games and only lost 2. The 2 they lost were back in 2021 November to What the Hell, and then back in June of this year to Raptors DC. But I think either both of those times, or at least one of those times, they weren't necessarily fielding their top squads kind of thing. So whether that's like a elite Core team defeat there, I don't know, but they're very, very strong. Overall, Core have a 91 point something, like 91.7% win rate versus 82AD's 50%. 82AD literally winning half of their last 4 games. They had a victory that I covered a couple of weekends ago against 38 Infantry Division, which was a decent victory for them in the HCA and kind of pushing them forward in the tournament. But they have also struggled in the not too distant future as well against Trigger, even against KRT, not in the HCA, but they've got their ups and downs. They've got some really, really great players. We'll be looking out for Thorpe, especially as a shooter on 82AD. Gem, I don't know if Gem's commanding today. We'll see, but maybe in the game. Gem, very, very, very experienced. Used to be a fantastic squad leader. I used to watch the 18 versus 18 back in like 20 2020, 2019, like an absolute legend of the 18v18 kind of squad play. So loads of people to watch out for, but Core very well known for excellent like combined arms. Their tanks, their infantry working really well together. Fantastic stuff with the artillery as well. So we'll have to watch out for that. Harold, for example, on the artillery, like absolutely devastated in the spring seasonal. Okay, there are a couple of games there that got a bit skewed. They had a game against Trigger over on Purple Heart Lane, which got the numbers up, let's say, but not for no reason. They are a great team. So we are going to be seeing Core in blue tonight. They'll be the Axis, and we will be seeing, therefore, in red 82 AD as the allies. Let's jump on over to the strat sketch. We'll have a little look at the map that we're going to be playing. Oops, excuse me, that's not correct. There you go. So as you can see, yep, Utah Beach, absolute classic. As I said, we've got 82 AD on the right-hand side of the map here in red, so you can see I've drawn their lines in red. And we've got Core over on the left-hand side as the axis with the lines drawn in as blue, or their HQ sector. So depending on the point, and we'll kind of we'll touch a little bit on all three, but maybe we'll kind of go into a bit more detail when I see the map flip. But in terms of the points, the chapel is a classic one that we've seen several times so far in the HCA, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was the chapel in the that last 82 AD versus 38th Infantry Division game that I casted. It was chapel as the middle point. So we'll start there, the middle point, and you can see just straight away, and bear with me here, this is for the benefit of people who maybe haven't seen tons and tons of Hell Let Loose competitive. There's going to be nuances that I miss because, a caveat to my whole commentary here is that I'm not a comp player. It's all too much for me. These guys are on another level to me entirely. So don't take what I say as gospel, but just this is like the benefit of my experience of having seen probably hundreds of these games now at quite a high level, and what's likely to occur, what strategies can be effective, etc. What the kind of balancing issues are in the game or points to be highlighted are. But the chapel sector here that I've highlighted in green, you can see that the chapel hardpoint itself is well and truly in F5 over here, making it much closer to the allies for them to be able to kind of move up quickly. And very likely what we often see is the allies get quickly into the back of the chapel and set themselves up nice and early. They can obviously build garrisons in their kind of blue territory, as it were, like their friendly controlled territory right at the start of the game. And you can see down here F and G line is ever so close to chapel, so they can get a garrison up very quickly. On the other hand, quite a long way from any garrison that Core or the Axis might build right out here on D and E line. A much longer way in for them. What we'll often see with the chapel, though, is that these buildings here will become a fighting ground for both teams, because they've kind of got this good advance down here from the north, down from sort of WM4 direction. But again, it kind of depends on the second points, because, for example, if Core tonight get Drownfields and Chapel, then they will be trying to push in from the north here, but they will need to also make sure that they kind of build themselves a front line, as it were. What it will probably look like is more like down the road here like that, but they basically need a front line. I'm drawing it like this for illustrations purposes, to meet the enemy head on and make sure that the allies can't just take the chapel, push down the road and straight into Drownfields, so it will depend on all of these kind of the point selection, and which is a huge part of this game in general, because as you can see from the maps, they're not what you would maybe think of as like competitive first-person shooter maps. They're actually primarily designed on the real-life locations in Normandy and elsewhere, obviously, but this one in Normandy, of course. And there are some additions, some slight changes from real life, but really, like, they're pretty blooming accurate, to be honest with you. So they've kind of sacrificed a little bit of like balance maybe for some realism, but that's part of what makes this game so interesting. So we will see, very likely, as I say, the Allies getting into Chapel first, probably capping it early on, unless, you know, there's some catastrophic error, and we'll kind of watch out. We've seen a few troop transport trucks from other teams get stuck so far in the game, but that's a very likely line of approach. Capture Chapel and then look to either hold that or really push through for a 4-1. Although, of course, we do need to just get straight into this and say that Core will be absolutely looking to capture Chapel right at the start. And if they're not, then it's all kind of part of a strat to, you know, capture it eventually, because they're not looking to lose this one to 82 AD. Definitely not. And so, again, depending on what the points are, because any diagonal points like this always make it more difficult, because, as I say, you need to set up these kind of front lines, as it were, to protect, and that is largely dictated by the shape of fields and you know, hedges and things like that. So some are easier than others. But I'm wondering now, maybe I've got the map wrong on the 38 versus 82, and I'm saying that it was Chapel, but it's not, because it was Samurai Glaze. I'm completely lost now. There's so much Hell Let Loose content going on at the moment that all the games are like blending together in my mind, it would appear. So just having a look at WM4, again, you can see that the hard cap here is in F3, and that is again closer to the Allies. So then, using these kind of covered areas, they can get in the back, they can drive their troop transport trucks through the barbed wire at the back here, get into WM4 nice and quickly, get themselves set up. On the other hand, we'll probably see Core building garrisons kind of out slightly more on the flanks to get around to these buildings again, stage some sort of push from the south, and also straight down the road, of course. Likely they will try to do that with tank support. If we are down the bottom at WN7, again, the Allies probably have the advantage of getting there first, and we'll get into some of the advantages for the Axis in a moment. And they will be looking to get to this area by the cross. They'll probably build a garrison back here somewhere, or back here. But they'll be looking to get to this first cross, which is, there's a building that they call Granny's House, which kind of overlooks these trenches. You can see this kind of T shape of trenches that move into the back of WN7, and they'll be looking to capture that and move in. Straight away off the bat, they can drive their vehicles in very quickly through the barbed wire at the back here, which is very likely what will happen. But throughout the game, if WN7 is the middle point, then this Granny's House is going to be vitally important, because Core, you know, again, they will have to kind of build something outside of the sector. You can see this is much more in the middle, though, WN7, of the whole, you know, two columns. But then they'll probably be looking to get in and around the side to that Grandma's house, as well as setting up tanks to keep a kind of overwatch here, and probably the same for the Allies here, maybe even up on the dunes here, but it's quite exposed for them if they do that. In terms of tanks, tank support obviously incredibly important throughout the game. We'll be keeping an eye out to see who wins those all-important heavy tank battles, and, you know, clears the field of enemy tanks to allow their infantry to do what they've got to do and to put extra pressure on the enemy. I very much expect that to form a key component of the game, so we'll keep an eye out for that. That will be kind of different depending, like how that happens will be kind of different depending on the middle point again, but, you know, we'll wait and see. We just have to wait and see what we get on that one. But certainly it's going to be a battle of tanks. It's also going to be a battle of artillery, and we've seen so far in HCA very much a kind of a combination really of leaning into building fixed, so either identifying a place where you can place a tank and getting like one shot, like wrong color, we'll do it in red so it's clear, but like placing a tank up here, for example, and shooting at the Axis, artillery back here at the HQ. There is a spot over this way somewhere as well, but they can be countered. You know, as soon as those spots have been used once and they've been kind of documented, then it is possible to know where they're shooting from and counter them. And Core certainly will have like good counter spots as well. And so we've kind of seen a combination of this tactic, of this almost like fixed emplacement idea, versus what seems to be catching on really a lot at the moment, which is firing rockets at the enemy artillery. And I mentioned some advantages for the Germans earlier. They have advantages in terms of tanks now that the heavy tank, the Panther, I'm getting confused now. the Panther heavy tank is come back into the game. It was a medium tank before, but it's now a heavy, so it's very maneuverable, good gun, very, very strong, and we'll see Core utilise that a lot. But they also have the Panzerschreck, the kind of rocket launcher for the Germans, which has like this big like arc. When you fire it, it's got like a long parabola like this, and what that means is that they can basically stand somewhere, so like, I don't know, over here, and fire a rocket up in the air and get it to land precisely on the enemy artillery guns, and that's very, very powerful. And the Germans really have the advantage in that, because the range on their Panzerschrecks is a lot longer, and they also have much more of an arc. Like the arc for the Panzerschreck is like this, whereas the arc for the bazooka is like this. You know, it's not quite as straight as that, but it's not anywhere. You can't kind of like shoot it right up in the air and expect it to come down very, you know, and like land very easily. It's not going to kind of do that. It's going to shoot much straighter. So they definitely have a couple of advantages there, and I suspect that really on this map, despite these kind of what I'm saying about the middle points here, the Axis, because of those reasons, really are going to have the advantage. And if they manage to get 82 AD back to the beach here, because it's so open at the back and the HQ spawns are right down here on the beach, it can be really, really difficult for the Allies on this map to kind of get back from that situation, because they're so exposed on the beach, and Core will be, you know, looking to capitalize on that as quickly as possible with their kind of famous amazing coordination that they have. We'll just have a quick look at the scoreboard. So this is, if my thing will change for us here, maybe it will. There we go. Just this is the scoreboard coming into this weekend. So there'll be some kind of changes to this. We've had quite a few games already, but Core sitting up at the top there with 2 games played alongside Trigger, although Trigger have actually completed their game this afternoon. They had a great win against What the Hell, which means that Core need to win this one to stay in that tied first position. You can see both of those teams only having played 2 games so far because of the kind of bye week concept that's part of this HCA format. I was informed on the recapping, the show that I do on a Friday with no connection, last Friday, that the caps are just kind of an information for fun. So like that's how many points have been capped. They're not actually going to be used in terms of the standings. I know it seems like they are here, but actually if there is a tie, that will be played as a tiebreaker at the end. So don't worry about that. It's just kind of more about, you know, it's more of just like an interesting fact. But the point here being that Core really need to win this to stay in that tie first position, because Trigger have won their game earlier on. 82 AD, as you can see right now, are down in 9th with 3 played and only won the 1 game, lost 2. So they're really going to want to win this one, of course, but they sort of have to maybe be a bit realistic here. They are up against one of the 2 strongest teams, or 3-4 strongest teams in the league right now, you know, in the world right now. So, you know, they're not going to beat themselves up if they lose this one, but at the same time, you know, they could really do with the win. Let's say they could really do with the win, and that would bump them up, of course, depending on the results of some of these other games, a little bit higher. So that all being said, I'm going to go into this pre-game screen now, and I will be back with you shortly. We're just going to get ourselves logged into the server. They've been a bit slow with the passwords here, so I need to make sure we've got everything logged in. But we will have both maps up for you. You'll be able to see as I open them up. There'll be both maps, so we'll see the deployment stage and what the Allies are doing. But we'll be seeing Core, the Germans, in blue, and we'll be seeing 82 AD in red as the Allies. So bear with me, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, we're in. Just give it a second. Hopefully the game will come up in a minute. Sometimes a bit funny. There we go. And we've got Chapel as the middle point. We've got Sunken Bridge here as the second point for the Germans. We're seeing, as I said before, Core in blue tonight as the Germans. Sunken Bridge, their second point. AA Battery, the second point for the Allies. We'll get the Allies map up in just a second. But really quite an interesting layout here. Pretty strong for Core in terms of their Mammoth Raider and Sunken Bridge, like two back-to-back with each other like that. You know, they should be able to kind of handle the defence of that relatively easily, but quite possibly it won't even come to that because with the Chapel set up here in that diagonal to Sunken Bridge, it's quite a difficult push for the Allies to kind of get through. And also those farm buildings up here in F4 that we were talking about before the game, they can definitely come into play. As you can see, the Axis don't have to worry about anything down in this road, kind of setting up a front line or any of that stuff that we talked about earlier. They can just be funneling people in from the north, setting up a sort of bridgehead in that farmyard. And as long as they control this stream and the bend in the stream, they should be able to pretty much hold Sunken Bridge. As long as there's a couple of people back to watch out for airheads, they shouldn't have too much bother. Although obviously they could be troubled down here in C column by some cheeky red line Garys. If we jump into the other team and have a little look at their map now, we can see that they have AA Battery, as I said before, which makes this push down to Chapel a little bit more, I'll say a little bit more difficult to defend, although again they're going to be, because their secondary point is up here in the north, most of the fighting is probably going to be happening up here in WM4 in kind of F3, F4 area, and there's going to be some real clashes there because whoever owns this area control of this kind of position is going to be making the difference between, you know, a quick second cap for either of these teams, with AA Battery being in G3, you can see on this side of the sector, and D3 here respectively for the Axis. If we get both maps up next to each other, we can see right now that we've got some transport trucks moving to the south of the map. Interesting here from Core, they'll be looking to get around below Chapel. I'm not seeing their tank set up just yet for like a tank snipe, which is interesting. I suspect that War Dog here though in I3 for 82 AD on the right hand map might be set up for some or be going to set up for some snipes at the Core artillery, but it looks like Core building absolutely tons of defences and stuff, and they've got, you can see already, an AT gun set up to counter this position down here, and vice versa. There's also an AT gun set up in I7 on the other team for the same reason, I would imagine. So let's press my wrong button. Let's get over the top of Chapel right now and see these teams kind of wade in here. I suspect that we'll see the Allies get into the Chapel first, as I said before. They do have that quicker route up the stream here, and we'll probably see their trucks kind of move in a moment. We're not going to have highlighting on today, so we have to just kind of keep an eye out for people. But here comes their middle tank, a 75 medium middle tank, and here is the Stuart as well with clicker, as the Germans actually arrive in their truck very, very quickly. You can see already 82 AD opted for this kind of northern route. They know that it's going to be that northern point. It's going to be vitally important, but not seeming to get too many people into the actual Chapel itself, which is very curious. Maybe they're thinking that they're going to let Core take it. I'm not sure. We've obviously got the Stuart down here with clicker favouring Luxor for 82 AD, but Fleeder, Crusader, Bommel all running into the actual church itself right now, and probably have access to some anti-tank facilities in the satchel there with Fleeder maybe. So we'll see how long that Stuart lasts. But we can see that 82 AD have gone for this kind of curious approach in my mind of going right down to the south and meeting Core down south. And if we look at the two maps side by side, you can really see what an absolute ton of 82 AD players there are down here in the south. And it's interesting that they are still capturing, because it's really a testament to this point you can see on the map actually that E5, 6 and F6, they're all part of the sector, and it's a really, really small hard cap. So despite the fact that there's a few players from core inside that capture point, providing 3 times the regular capping power, as the Stuart goes down to Fleeder, who came back in with an AT gun, they're not really having the desired effect down there, which is very interesting. And you know, allowing or 82 allowing so many people in these other areas is keeping them alive, but it's also keeping the numbers in the sector to provide some actual capping power, which is interesting to see from them. 82 AD here as well, moving into the WM4 and taking these buildings. This farmyard is the one that we were talking about earlier on the map. Just here you can see some supplies down for core, and that Lux, you can just see on the map there, absolutely opening up on any of the 82 AD members who thought that they were going to try and hold that area. Got Zoom down here, Anthrox, all kind of running right down the south. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, but we'll keep an eye on them. Garrison set up all along the line, and you can see what I was saying before, it is a real long way for them versus 82 AD, who've got this one over in G5 that's really, you know, ever so close. And the same, they can push into WM4 here quite easily, and seems like they got another one down to the south as well, so interesting from them. This gun is manned, so we'll go and check it out. They've also still got War Dog up in the tank, so we'll go and have a little look at that just now. But I'm kind of curious about this core recon vehicle too, because we've seen some recon vehicles pull out some great plays just recently, so we'll keep an eye on that. Core now capturing Chapel. Now, where's this? Is that the recon tank down here? Yeah, they just jumped out. Squealer and Siri. Don't know the full name there. Just jumped out of the recon tank, piloted by Archery. So, there goes that AT gun that we were talking about before. We didn't even get a chance to look at it yet, but that is destroyed. Going down to the Puma. Where's that tank? I need my highlight markers to see it. See, there it is. Okay, so yep, the 82 AD Stuart here with War Dog set up to take shots, and I bet if we go this way, we can see that that's going pretty much straight towards this core artillery, and there comes another shot to follow it up. But good stuff here from core with those Belgian gates to block some of those shots. As I said before, you know, with those fixed emplacements, they kind of, once they know where they're coming from, they are possible to defend against. And despite losing a couple of engineers there, or whoever that was who were building the gates, the artillery is still well in play. So tricky for 82 AD if their anti-artillery strats aren't working. But 82 AD capturing Chapel again now, and it's well played from them here. 1 hour 20 left in the game. We've just about had kind of 10 minutes or 8 minutes after the warm-up. And it's still contested, so this is good stuff from 82 AD. Oftentimes you'll see that core able to really step in. There goes one of those early Panzerschrecks. We'll go and see how accurate that was. Raven almost going down to it, but not quite. Again, trying to place things around the guns to protect against those shots from the Panzerschrecks. I'm in the one of these squads, it seems, that's firing at the guns there. So that's the pings that you're seeing. It's not me pinging it. This is an allied flare that you can see, the little green flare that just came out of the just sort of disappeared there. And really, flares are kind of becoming a bit meta now. They give such a powerful advantage to the team using them. Really fantastic, you know, ability to see enemy players. If we have a little look here, you can see that that flare's just gone up, that we saw kind of fired off. And those recon squad leaders, if they can stay up in the attack and in the fight, and they don't have to commit to going back to the artillery as they once used to have to, they do have access to those flares and they can use them to good effect. But yeah, really great stuff here from 82 AD to be taking that first point. Give them a boom. Thank you for all the first-time chatters I see in the chat already. Hopefully that means that we're live. I will be trying to keep an eye on what's going on, but it is half an hour delay, so if there's a problem, you'll have to kind of bear with me. I'm just going to set us over the top of chapel and double-check now that I can see that we're live to see that everything's kind of working okay, so bear with me just 1 second. The chap. Oh, seems like we've remembered to put it all on 1080p today for all my fans of 480p or whatever we had it on that first weekend. Have had some problems with sound crashes as well, but if the sound does crash, we can restart. We'll just watch the allied map, see what happens while the game's restarting, but hopefully we don't have to go through any of that. If there are any problems with the stream, do let me know. As I say, there will be a half an hour delay before I see your message, so I will try and kind of get on it before that, but it could be up to half an hour before it gets addressed. That was a close one there from Mosh, almost hitting the Stuart as it moves up here. Good hit, but doesn't get the job done. Mosh going down to the guys in the Stuart. We've got, who was that, Ginger? These tanks probably thinking to themselves that they're going to want to kind of burn these tanks and start to go and look to get heavy tanks soon. As we get above chapel, we can see that there is some capping pressure there from the Germans, but 82 AD able to hold that off, still taking good control of chapel, and their strat of getting up north quickly may have paid off quite well here. You know, if we jump over to their map, you can see that they're not hugely present over in E3. You know, they're not pushing really hard into Sunken Bridge, but they do have that garrison up in G3. They are pushing people through into WN4, this kind of area in the top of F column here, with plenty of OPs, looking to hold core off along this road to Sunken Bridge. And apart from that, they really just need to kind of hold the approach from this ditch and keep a hold of these cottages and leave some people down south. You can see that there's quite a few core players pushing from down south here with the lit up garrisons, or lit up OPs, sorry, but it's really not actually that many in reality. We'll look at both maps here, but you can kind of see it's really sort of quite spread out core plays down here, but core as well having good positioning throughout E column. They are closing in on chapel, and you know they are famous for their kind of pincer movements, and we can already see a bit of a horseshoe being created as they just start to capture chapel for a moment there. But good stuff from 82 AD off the bat to capture chapel well, and to be thinking about holding these various different areas and not doing a terrible job of it at the moment. They've still got their tank up firing at the artillery, Corps artillery, but I'm still seeing those guns are blue on the Corps artillery, which means that they are manned at the moment. But so are the 82 AD guns, so we'll get back into the game just now. As we see Para, Crusader and Killer moving into chapel here, down that stream. And Corps themselves kind of making or taking advantage of that same phenomenon we were talking about earlier, where there's small hard cap. You know, if they can get enough players into the surrounding squares around the chapel, as we can see with Bully here, Godsend, Profex, all of these lot with Espresso, Zoom, Seema, Medini, all of them are in areas where they are providing capture power on the sector. Okay, they're not inside the hard cap, they're not providing triple the power, but with just 4 people here inside the hard cap, maybe even just 3, 82 AD can't match that capture power. So they do need to be aware of that and to try and kill off those core players who are pushing through the buildings to the south. It's a harder push for Corps than it is for 82 AD to defend. I'll show you why in just a second as I hear the bombing run come over. Oh, this is the Corps bombing run. It's coming in over chapel. good positioning, but most of them, so lucky Ramu, were inside the point there, although somebody just got annihilated by, I'm not sure what that explosion was, to be honest. It could have been artillery. Kind of look more like a nade. Smoke effects looking great, by the way. But 82 AD holding on here, whether they can for much longer with these buildings down to the south being kind of captured. We'll wait and see. But here comes the 82 AD bombing run. Felder's not going to survive. Bully very likely won't survive. Good stuff from them. Profix gets the kill though down here on Cannon Fodder Bob, but that's helped them to hold on for a little bit longer. 1 hour 13 left in the game, as I can see. Who's our guy here? Jay Thompson firing those rockets at the artillery. We'll go and check with them in just a second and see how effective they're being. Pony still on the gun here. Jay Thompson pinging slightly the wrong area, gets it exactly spot on now. For any of you who were wondering, that's how you measure where this gun is on this map. But we'll see if that rocket's successful. No, it is not. It's hitting the barricade, so good stuff from 82 AD to block the barricade. And this is one of the things here with, that would have been a kill shot if that had hit, if somebody had been on that gun. It looks like maybe Star-Lord was and had to respawn. So many Panzerschrecks coming in right now, it's crazy. Just watching them over and over fire. I want to catch some heavy tank battles. I can see that the 76 is in for 82 AD. And we've got Soundburst and Jacko up in that. They're going to be facing off over here against a medium tank with that Panzer IV that we just kind of saw by the farm buildings. But there's also this heavy tank, which I'm guessing is probably a Panther, moving in for Corps into E5. Right now, Corps are capturing Chapel. Any of these players up here in F4 aren't providing capture power, but they've got enough down to the south here, it would seem, and a couple now maybe, or just one inside the hard cap, making all the difference. 82 AD struggling a bit, getting kind of pushed out of that area. They do still have a garrison over here in G5, so they'll be looking to spawn plenty of people in, and here they come. You just saw that spawn wave come in over there. Oh, straight artillery to the garrison, though, it looks like. It's been kind of predicted. This tank's going to want to move in a little bit, and you can actually see, seems like I have got the tank highlighted right now, but you can see the Panzer IV through the bush there. This Panther sitting, might get a shot, because it would have just heard them fire there, sitting just behind that bush. Yep, there's the shot. 76 is injured. They don't know from where. They might have just gone far enough to avoid getting shot again. Yes, that was the second shot from the Panther, clipping against the bush. That's a miss from the guys in the 76, but they go down to another second shot, which is a great shot here from the Panther. And, whoops, let me zoom out for us. There we go, that's better. Get us up in the air, having a bit of a moment there. But Corps managing to capture Chapel, and in pretty good style there, as is typical for them, with the pincer movement wrapped all the way around the bottom and at the back, took out the heavy tank, and now with the airhead dropping straight onto AA battery, they've already got, who's this, the recon squad with Cyrix and Nice inside, excuse me, inside AA battery. What tank was that just went down? So 82 AD players kind of having to get back now, and that's not really the situation they want to be in. You can see they've spawned in at this garrison behind the barbed wire, or on the corner. Is it behind the barbed wire? It is behind the barbed wire, which is maybe a mistake for them. We can see it just here, which means they're kind of screwed. They have to run across this open field. There are only 2 Corps players here at the moment, and Siri goes down as well. Cannon Fodder Bob might be able to get a nade out here on that airhead. It looks like probably will. Actually, that's a miss with the first one, but the second one gets it. airhead taken out here, but it is going to take some pressure off at Chapel for Core to allow them to move into this kind of WM4 area. You can see they're dropping supplies now here as well in F4 to build a garrison. Looks like Para about to build one of those. Mike's squad here with Squealer already moved up into H5. They'll probably choose an area around here or around the back for their next supplies, although there are some here already. 100, that's enough to build a garrison in this area. And Cyrix, who we just saw before, guarding the airhead. Probably going to build a garrison back there when they're ready. Oh, there it goes. Exactly as we were saying. And what that means is that they can kind of move their players out of those areas. And if we look at both maps together, you can see 82 AD have been well and truly cleared out of Chapel. They're being pushed back through this WM4 area. They've still got that garrison up there, but they've lost the one down by Chapel. They don't have a quick route of approach. They're sending some people in down south, but it looks like Able squad here with Neuro, Anthrox, Mosh, etc. Might be able to take them on, or at least they're going to see them coming when they get over there into G6. Excuse me. Commander here is Gem, as I said before, for 82 AD, dropping supplies in I5, looking to build that back garrison. They do have a garrison up inside AA battery now, so they're not having to run constantly from inside the barbed wire here. But you know, it was a bit touch and go for them there for a moment. But we can see already we've got Cyrix, we've got Crusader, all kind of wrapping around, trying to encompass and encircle AA battery. So just more of the same here from Core, an absolute classic Core play style. But plenty of 82 AD players actually on the point for now. JP here trying to advance, but cannon fodder Bob was going to get shots on JP, but goes down to artillery. And this is why clearing that artillery is so important. We've got Luxor here helping the fixing the tank. Who else have we got on this one? We've got Clicker and Favourite. Kolstad spawns on Rubbed OP. 76 at the back here. Oh no, is this a 76? No, this is a medium 75. Holding the back of AA battery here as I think there's 76. Yes, moves. Oh no, another medium moves to the right. I don't know if that's because they've got a problem with their supplies. It looks like they're pretty much on track for resources. So they've kind of opted for the medium tanks here. Another enemy tank over there, as you can see. We've kind of got everyone highlighted now. I don't think I pressed the highlight button, but I'm not really complaining. It means I can see everybody. Maybe it's less immersive, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I like it. That tank pinged now by OP here in Queen Squad for Core. 82 AD still using flares, but they're having to kind of use them a bit more defensively now. That one's up in H3 out the back here, not identifying anybody, of course, as we can see all the Core players are, well, not there. Some of these will have been identified by a second flare that 82 AD just fired. But in terms of 82 AD's strat right now and what they're going to try and do to counteract this, tricky to say. It's very difficult because they're kind of bunched now into a bit of a corner, and all that allows is this whole area for Core to manoeuvre relatively freely. They do have, 82 AD do have some players, if we look at their map down here still in G7, but they're getting a lot of pressure. They've got Havold, the commander here for Core. They've got Zoom, that whole squad with Anthros, etc. Right on top of them practically. They're kind of down here, aren't they? And their garrison's just here, and there's Core players already sort of swarming around. We've really got Core players down here with Parrot in D8, looking to get really, really deep, really far around, because again they'll be looking to leapfrog, and if they capture this next point they'll be looking for the 5-0, and they'll want to build something further back. They'll want to get eyes on that artillery, eyes on those HQ spawns, to finish off 82 AD if they do get into that position. Right now, just over an hour remaining in the game. 82 AD down in the 3-2 to Core here on Utah Beach. People in the chat I see criticising the map design or the designers of the maps. I just can't reiterate enough that this game is not designed for competitive, and the competitive scene is excellent and it's really fun and all kind of community organised, which is amazing. But one of the things that has to kind of go along with that is the fact that the devs, they're basically not supporting competitive. You know, they're not designing the game to be competitive. It's sort of like an experiential shooter for public games, and so they have made a perfectly valid design choice to go more along kind of like a realism for the maps, you know, a sort of historical perspective, which you know you can't argue with. You've got to respect that. That's the game. It's their game. That's the game they want to make. You know, it does mean that when it comes to competitive, there are some maps that are more balanced than others, 100%. But that's part of the game and part of what makes Hell Let Loose competitive interesting and different from other games as well. Apart from all of the other factors, you know, this massive 50 versus 50 or 49 versus 49 gameplay. You know, the coordination, the voice comms, the combined arms, all of it. But coming together on these kind of slightly less balanced maps is really a part of it, and all of the map ban phases, you know, how the teams choose these maps, that's all visible on the HCA Discord. If you type !HCA, I'm sure most people watching this are on that Discord already, but if you aren't, you can go to that Discord, not only see all of the standings, who's casting what games are going to be on, but also watch the map ban phases, and that's kind of a mini game into itself, because you know there's strategy there. You know, if you're playing against a team that has amazing tanks, maybe you want to play them on Hill 400. You know, if you're playing against a team that you know is really good at you know, attacking your artillery, maybe you want to play them on a map where they have less experience doing that, or whatever. You know, there's lots of considerations. You want to try and get not just the map you want, but the team you want. There's also advantages on whose server we're playing on. So right now 82 AD is hosting the server. These two teams both based in Europe. Core obviously German, speak all German language. 82 AD kind of European, like pan-European English language team. But like for some games, you know, if you're playing Trigger versus What the Hell earlier, for example, whose server it on is just as important as maybe the map, you know. And then within that, you do get this RNG element of different points at the start of the game, you know, and it's how teams can adapt to that. Yeah, just really it's what makes it different and makes it interesting, in my opinion. But it's certainly not something that I would say is down to like poor design from the designers, because they're not designing a competitive shooter, so you can't really measure them against that benchmark. And as somebody who, probably like a lot of people watching this, has played the public game and spawned into that public game on that first day and thought, oh my god, what is happening here? This is insane, this is so much fun, it's like just such a crazy experience. That's what they're designing it for, and the fact that I myself have over 2,000 hours in this game now, and so do many other people playing here, probably 3,400, 4,000 hours, maybe a lot more than that, I don't know, is testament, and the fact that, you know, this comp scene exists is testament to the fact that those devs they've created something that got us hooked in the first place, that inspired us in the first place, you know, and in that respect they've been incredibly successful here. So Harold now leading from the front as commander here for Core, as Bommelf leader, Icarus, see Crusader, we've got Maldini here, all pushing into the point at AA Battery. We've got the Core bombing run coming in just now. We will start to see land here. Right on top of that OP as Blur somehow survived for a second, but not for long as the artillery followed up, but the bombing run didn't finish. A ton of those core players died just before getting into the point though, so the bombing run less effective than they might have wanted. Icarus though here from core is in the point, is able to build an OP inside the point. As a squad leader, Tra as well below us, and with luck support now, this is going to be tricky for 82 AD. 59 minutes left in the game, and we're seeing core start to cap here at AA Battery to take this to a 4-1. That is their ambition. And let's have a look at their map quickly. You can see that there's quite a few players down south. We've also got Calijon already by Red Roof House, just waiting for that flip. There's no supplies yet. I'm surprised that we've not seen supplies be dropped over here much earlier in the game in preparation for this kind of situation. But no doubt they will be trying to get supplies in relatively soon. I can see over here we've got a 76, but again playing it pretty cool here, fairly passive, not pushing in too much, you know, not enough to kind of support their players right inside the point there, and largely because we've got Gold Dragon George, we've got Emmett as well over here in the tank. We've got Holsbier, OP and Gru in another Panther, and both of those getting shots out towards the beach and making it really hard for the 82 AD tanks to be able to, well, do much in support of their infantry, as we were just saying. That was a close one though. Not sure if this tank's going to move. I think George only got shot off the top of this tank. Probably see another shot coming in a second. I don't know if it'll be more successful than the last. No, it's another miss here, and that 76 you can see in red off in the distance there. Just not quite got the shots. Not right now anyway. The Panther thought that one was a bit close though, so they are backing off. A little bit of capture power on the chapel there for a moment for 82 AD, but it looks like the writing's on the wall over at AA Battery. Looking at both the maps together, we can see that 82 AD really pushed back outside of the hard point, deep into the sector. As it flips here, core with another point captured. Great stuff from them. So let's kind of catch up with the 82 AD map in a little bit more detail. You can see Red Roof House now, their final point. They need to make sure that they've got garrisons in and around their, you know, the sand dunes, because they can't be spawning in back here at the HQ, or certainly it's very risky to do that. Their recon plane, as you can see, identified a whole ton of the players, the core players up in AA Battery, as they are coming in for a bit of a counter-attack, but I think they're going to struggle. They've still got the heavy tank up here in H3 with favourite Kicker and Luxor, excuse me. The other screen's like really far away from me, so I have to like lean over to squint and see the writing. But they have got some tank presence up north, but you know they're going to struggle if they can't take hold of Red Roof House and keep it and push core back into this area. They've got a garrison here in G5, but it looks like maybe more concentrated on attack than defence. But if Mike's squad here in Vice Cop and Gem, the commander, if they push back into Red Roof House, that could be effective for them. But already we can see another airhead dropped inside Red Roof House with recon flares going up here for core. They've already got a ton of players in and around Red Roof, so we will get over there in just a second, excuse me, and go and have a look at how we're getting on. Plenty of 82 AD players down here on the beach and on the sand dunes. They've also got a tank in play. I think that's a medium over there. And they have kind of managed to get some people spawned back in at Red Roof now. They've managed to build this garrison just near where Ghost Recon is, to the left of the screen here. As we see their airhead falling. Oh no, this is the core airhead still, excuse me, falling inside Red Roof House. I thought that had been destroyed already, but it looks like this one's not going to last long. Similar to the last one though, it is probably enough to send some people back. Kolstad there with a nade. Long fuse, but there it goes. Bully finding their way into the back of Red Roof House here, but all alone. Looking to be safe for now. There was a moment there, it was a bit touch and go. I was talking to a very experienced comp player the other day, and they were saying how a 4-1 situation is oftentimes very risky for a lot of teams because they get carried away. They think we'll push for the 5-1. They open up themselves in the rear. You know, they don't do a good job then of kind of getting back in time because they think, oh, you know, even if they get capped back into a 3-2, they think, oh, well, we were 4-1 a minute ago. We'll keep pushing. We'll keep on the counter-attack. And it can leave them really vulnerable. Core, not one of those teams that's going to probably fall into that trap. They're very, very experienced. They don't have a 91% win rate for nothing. Popcorn taking out, looked like half a squad here. See bodies everywhere. Getting that OP up. But going down on it, that's very unfortunate. I don't even know who shot him. I don't really understand where that bullet just came from. Dorbian? Maybe? Curious. Maybe it was Icarus. Don't know how that could possibly be the case, but somebody's got shots on him. So the counter-attack not really going the way of 82 AD at the moment. 53 minutes left in the game. There's still a Lux here for the Germans inside AA battery, just facing the beach. Heavy tank as well, backing up with Holsbier and Guru up in G3. And good area control, as is typical of Core. They've pushed beyond Chapel. They've got this area under control at Hill 5, and they'll be looking to push straight down towards Red Roof House. They've got flares up or recon up to see enemy players in around Hill 5, and they are looking to also encircle, not just from the north but also from the south here, as we can see Nero squad again on that push. Cyrix maybe going to try and get a garrison up here, but really pushing in from all around. And we've even got Crusader back here looking to take out some of the 82 artillery. There's a combination of saying AD and artillery in one word there. Crusader and Raven in a head-to-head. Raven goes down as more rockets, still Panzerschrecks landing on the artillery here for 82 AD, and it's not looking good over here. Definitely struggling to keep their guns active. .51 minutes remaining, and Crusader holding down for now the 82 AD artillery, preventing them from getting back on the guns, as Fingers fires the flare up in the sky to try and figure out where Crusader actually is. Does identify him on the map, but not easy to get a kill anyway. Secret manages to take him out in the end, which is good stuff to alleviate some of that pressure. Red Roof House still not with too many 82 AD players inside the point, and they're still getting artillery. Their artillery defence is not working out as well as Core's, and it's going to cost them big time here, as we see Para, X's, we see Killer, we see Cyrix, we see Nice all moving in to Red Roof House now for Core, as the 82 AD defenders held back by very accurate artillery rubbed inside the house. Surviving the artillery, maybe getting some shots out, but they need to keep defending this garrison, because right here where these guys have just spawned in, it's right out in the middle, it's very vulnerable, and if they lose that, they've got quite a decent run. Yikes, Just slightly off with the artillery there. Almost took out that whole spawn wave. But if Core can take out that garrison, they've really got 82 on the ropes here. They do still have another garrison somewhere below us, just in the bushes here. There it is. I say bushes, I meant sand dunes, because they're so similar. So it's not the longest run in the world, but it's not an easy push by any stretch of the imagination. And looking at the map here, again, Core just push through, creating this front line, looking to encircle once they kind of get Godsend and those guys around here into the I column. You know, that'll be enough to help back up this push from the south as well. And I would imagine that with 84 supplies or resources in the munitions, we've seen all we've got for Core bombing runs just for now. But they will still be using that artillery, and they have been all game to great effect. The commander is of course able to swap out other resources, as we see Spearhead shooting the moon there. Is able to use other resources to convert into munitions, so we'll keep an eye out and see if that happens, because that could belie some you know, some changes in what's going on here. But for now it looks like they're just going for the infantry push. They're using the whole width, or the entire height, as we look at it here, of the map to help them with that push. This is a recon plane for 82 AD that we're hearing going over the top. Identifying pretty much all of the Core players on this push. It's a decent recon plane straight along H column, and as you can see there's quite a few people there to be identified. But in some ways I feel like 82 AD it's not like they don't know where Core are coming from, they're just struggling to stop them from coming from there, if that makes any sense. More artillery right on top of that garrison. Thorpe, I'm not going to talk about Thorpe. Last time I spoke about Thorpe and sung his praises, he got destroyed by a tank like immediately after. Just died up in the building there as well, so we won't talk about him and jinx him again for another game in a row. But tons of these 82 AD players very familiar with from the comp scene. Cannon Fodder Bob below, Star Lord, So Lucky Ghost Recon, Hellbro, all classic 82 AD players spawning in at Red Roof House. 47 minutes left in the game, trying to keep themselves from a 5-0 against Core here, as Seema runs into the gardens. And has Seema seen this garrison? Cannon Fodder Bob goes down to Seema. This could be key. Oh my god. Seema, get the garrison. that's a case of priorities here, but they haven't realised that the garrison's gone down. Oh my word. That's huge. Seema with an absolute play there. Kind of shot that first bullet. Thought, you know what, I'm not even going to try and kill all these guys. I haven't noticed I'm here. I'm just going to lie down in a bush, try and take out the garrison, and boy, was that effective. And here comes this coordination that Core are famous for. Their artillery pushing ahead of the infantry. They're not destroying any of their own guys. You can see, very, very accurate. That's the 82 AD flare in green that you can see above the house there. That's the half track. Drives in. You know, they know they're on the ropes here with this bad spawn situation. Remember that other garrison's way over here. Can't even see it now. It was like out in the dunes there, wasn't it? Kind of over in I-5, like up here somewhere. I'm not going to ping it because I'm on a squad right now, and my squad leader will be able to see that. But Core done what they always do, surrounded, pushed through the point. Bully here, literally getting in a huge fight. Just doing enough to keep those 82 AD players at bay, keep them outside of that hard cap, to let everybody filter in. The artillery pushing ahead of the Core infantry here. It sounds like a recon plane, and it is a recon plane. Airhead now dropping for core inside of Red Roof House as well. This could easily be all over in just a second. Halfway capped here on Red Roof House, and core looking fairly uncontested in and around the point. They fully took that south side, so they don't need to worry about that. They're just pushing north now along the dunes. They destroy the half track as well there below us, and you can see Pony, Raven spawning way back here at that HQ spawn. What do? How do you play this as 82AD? You can't rush across the breach, you will die, and this is where core probably have this one in the bag. 44 minutes on the clock remains, so slightly over halfway through the full 1.5 hours here, the full 90 minutes. Oh, just disgusting artillery here, over and over from core. They've been... 82AD really kind of didn't manage to... Even with those arty snipes, they got defended against. They didn't manage to take them out. They didn't send anyone back there, so they never knew that they weren't hitting them, apart from the fact that the artillery was still falling. And here, 44 minutes, victory to core. Absolute boom on that one. And let's have a little look at some of the scores. We've got core Havold here as the commander, 82AD Gem as the commander for 82AD. I'm going to scroll through. Do pause them before everybody leaves, kind of thing. Like, do pause the stream, and on the replay pause the stream if you want to catch anybody in particular. But core, as always, putting in a strong performance. We can see Henning B there on the artillery having an absolute field day. 600 combat effectiveness points. I'm guessing Henning B was on the artillery. I'm getting points because I'm in a squad. Swear I'm not playing. Then on the, I think we've scrolled everyone here. Decent tanking, not you know, we're not seeing like 2,000 or 3,000 tank effectiveness kind of thing, but not terrible. Full utilization of all squads here from 82AD. Hopefully I managed to get some of them. A few people have left already, but GG from both teams there. But core, you know, showing us what they do best, which is absolute domination in Hell Let Loose competitive. And you know, the reign continues, and they remain tied first, importantly, with Trigger, who also won their game earlier, as I mentioned before, against What the Hell. So yeah, big stuff here from core to take the win on that one. So with that being said, we'll kind of go back to the studio, my lovely setup here. Big thanks to Guderian for kind of providing all of the, you know, the wait, which side is this? This side, all of these lovely graphics, and yeah, the studio and all of the transitions, the cool transitions that you've been seeing. You know, the booms when they take the point. So massive shout out to Guderian and the people at HCA. The other organisers at HCA, you know, they need to be thanked as well, especially Ghosty, really, because puts in absolutely so much work. It's crazy. But thank you as well to all the players, of course. Well played to everyone today. Unfortunate for 82AD, but probably knew ahead of this one that they were likely to lose. Well played to core. They kind of, you know, finished it off in typical style, and good for them. Thank you, of course, for joining me, you the viewer, because you know, without you guys supporting me, I wouldn't be on nearly 800 followers right now, which is literally crazy. I've got, I don't know, 23 subs or something like that. That's amazing. So thank you so much to everybody who's kind of watched and anyone who supports. If you want to obviously sub to me or donate to me, you can do so. The tip function, or you know what I just said, donate, you can do !tip, and it means I get all the money, which means I can use it to upgrade my PC and make the stream better, quicker than if it goes through Twitch, because, well, they take over half the money, I'll be honest with you. But if you don't want to donate to me, or you know, give me your cash, that's totally understandable. You can watch for free, myself and any of these other streamers, but do consider putting !fight in the chat, because that will take you through to Cancer Research UK, where you can maybe spend a little bit of the money if you have it, you know. And all of this is like, if you have it. I know we're in hard times right now, so don't worry if you don't, but like, if you do have it, there's a suggestion there of a worthy cause to actually donate some money to that charity, who, you know, put in really great work to try and beat cancer, basically, because screw cancer. My poor next door neighbour right now, she's, you know, really at the end of her her battle with it, and unfortunately, you know, she's 82 AD in that situation, and the cancer is core, as happens sometimes, you know, but without the research that the people at Cancer Research UK have kind of put in, and without the effort and the time and the money that people donate and give to them to put in, a lot of the, you know, her life might have been cut short a lot sooner. She's really been having like a really long battle with it, but done an amazing job throughout all the treatment, and a lot of those treatments have been quite kind of experimental and, you know, high tech and stuff, and a lot of that is down to these great doctors and the support staff at places like Cancer Research UK who are helping with all that. So put !fight in the chat if you want to go donate to them. It just takes you straight through. It doesn't go through me or any weird stuff like that. It's just straight through them. You just donate on their homepage, their donate page. But with that said, you know, fair play, GG to Core as always, and thank you for joining me again for another fantastic weekend of HCA content. I will say goodbye now, but stick around for the raid. I will raid somebody. Not sure who yet. I'll decide. I've got half an hour to wait for the delay before the stream ends for you guys to decide. But do stick around and drop a follow on whoever I raid, because they will be handpicked as somebody who you know, is supporting Hell Let Loose, as it were, or playing good Hell Let Loose. So check them out. Thank you again for joining me. Thanks to the organisers, and well played to Core there, and commiserations to 82 AD on, you know, what looked early on like a pretty strong performance, but unfortunately they kind of just, you know, another victim to the stranglehold of Core. So thank you and good.